Hello everyone, I have here the 2025 LEGO Icons modular building. It's the Tudor corner. This cost me $230 US, it's 230 euros, 200 pounds UK, or $300 Canadian for 3,266 pieces. And don't forget about all those planet-saving paper bags that LEGO is putting into all their sets worldwide. Check mine out. Paper. The set comes with 7 minifigures and a couple little cats, and we'll look at these later on. Really quickly, because a lot of people ask about and dwell on the gifts with purchase that are available with sets, I do want to confirm that I'm not here to review this very, very limited edition corner kiosk gift with purchase that was available during the launch of this. I'm here to review the main building that anybody could purchase at any time. This is a single base plate corner build with an interesting angle down here, and one side comes all the way up to the edge of the 32 by 32 base plate. The other side leaves a little bit of gap in here, but the staircase also comes up to the edge. This is the most camera unfriendly angle. It has just one bar breaking up basically large sections of plain bricks, but you know, if you do want to add in the suggestion of patina or something in there, it's really easy to do because these are primarily just plain bricks. They used to mix in things where you could see evidence of how the interior is built and everything. It's nice to have just a plain slate like that. Again, if you want to modify it, you can. This side looks much better to me and does have some usable details, including the entry door down here, the stairway, which has an interesting feature to it. Also, a little balcony, some foliage used around this, but not too much of it, just enough to kind of brighten up the whole thing. But let's focus down in on the ground floor. I personally really like this color scheme, the dark green accented against black, and then the little bits of gold in here, but not too much gold. So it doesn't look too gaudy, you know? The small gold pieces are used for the hanging flower elements out here, which are done with just a small, very small number of pieces. Again, just enough to get you a little pop of color there without making it look like this thing just has weeds growing all over it. Again, I really like this angle right here. You'll see nice part usage throughout this. Of course, it is a LEGO modular after all, with the astromech legs upside down here, some bins that are often used for just trash down at the bases of kind of columns there. Nice prints as well. These, I believe, are going to be exclusive to this set, but I might be wrong on that. If they reuse them, I'm definitely not going to be mad, but the prints themselves, the graphic design work is excellent. Notice the goats. It's a little in reference for us. Just everything about this, I personally like. It's not too detailed, but it has definitely enough to feel alive and to feel really well thought through and to feel very, very classy. The way the corner is done here is also very nice. You'll notice there are no gaps. I mean, this thing probably has the least gaps for all of its interesting curves and angles, probably the least gaps that I've ever seen on a building from LEGO. I've heard that some folks don't like seeing the crest on the ground here. I don't know what that's about. I think that this thing is appropriate to be there. I also like just a little suggestion of some wrought iron fence work out here at the corner. You see, this does stand back. The building itself at the corner does stand back quite a bit from the corner itself. So there's some wasted, you could say there's some wasted space there, but it thins up pretty quickly. And the construction of this angled area doesn't waste too much interior space, thankfully. And we'll look at that later on. Switching over here, once again, that same crest pattern is used in the ground. You change up the colors here completely, and you know, this is what they always do. Another good print, nicely designed and well produced. Nice texture in there without going too crazy about it, but this is my favorite part of the entire build when it comes to just the build process and the part usages and how everything came together. This fits in so nicely, so securely, perfectly all around. Again, gapless, including up at the top. They have some round pieces up there that just let the corners fit in there while holding everything together. It's something that you have to experience. It's just super satisfying to me. Really happy about this set of windows. A little bit of texture here is nice too. I was worried as I was building that not enough of this was going to be visible, but definitely plenty of it is visible. Just that little bit from these textured bricks here, just that little bit of extra gap in there really adds a lot to me. Just the shadow in that space. Again, going around this side, you see pretty much nothing, but I do want to finish down here the rubbish bin. There's a a stinky, stinky fish in there. This is able to open up, got a little light up above it, and then these vines grow up. I really like the use of the regular green colored heart pieces, which makes this look like ivy. Before I start peeling back the layers and showing you the interior, which has quite a bit going on with it, I want to finish a tour of the exterior, especially since that's what 99% of owners of something like this are going to be seeing 99% of the time, if not more. You know, interior details are great and all, but the exterior, it needs to be right and it needs to be focused on. Really nice print for the clock over here. It's a larger print, 3x3 round tile there, and it's done on both sides as well. You see some suggestion of the texture, you know, just a little bit of the masonry work showing through here from just wear over time, but it's been repainted over. This is the nougat color, so you got nougat here. This is dark tan, and then in between there, the darker color is dark orange. I don't particularly like the looks of the windows on this level, not nearly as much as I would like, as I thought that I would. I think it looks best in Lego's marketing pictures, which is not to say that they're trying to deceive. Usually they make their sets look worse than they do in person, but in this case, I just really liked the angle and the color correction and everything in their pictures. It looked best. This looks a little bit plain to me. The build of it is perfectly fine. The railing out here is pretty intricate and uses some skeleton arms and droid legs in gold, which are slightly different colors. All three types of elements here are slightly different colors from one another. They're different materials, but it doesn't bother me that much. You know, more consistency would be good, but at least it's not distracting to me personally. The downpipes are really nice, and especially having this piece right here, this part that was originally used as a plant stem in black. That's so very useful. And again, the hanging plants out here, you know, they don't have many pieces to them, so you don't stand there or sit there building, just repeat with tiny little things going on, mini bars, you know, with mini pegs and mini peg holes there. But it really adds to the scene. This I actually like a little bit better. I like the texture. I like how this is inset. Again, gapless design, but it kind of looks like a black void. Just a little bit too much darkness in that space. I am nitpicking, but I'm just going to share my thoughts as I go along. But again, this out over here, we already kind of looked at that. This is brilliant. This, so much work goes into this little area here. So much work in multiple steps. Probably doesn't look as good just from the outside as it feels to me having actually built it. The build experience for this is like, you know, it shows that these Lego designers really know what they're doing, but it's not unnecessarily complex. They just wanted to get these shapes here, and they accomplished them really well. Again, gapless all the way around. And then here you have the half timbered section, which looks really good. They do different things depending upon what the spacing needs to be. Here you've just got small window frames with white panes in them. Notice the tile up here to try to fill in some of this space. The steep areas up here are almost gapless. Once again, I mean, the gaps that are there are just the smallest possible. It even tightens down underneath the overhangs here, which is really impressive. Nice little part in there just to add a little bit more texture. These angles are done in the simplest way. Again, I don't want to spoil too many build techniques for folks who are interested in actually buying this thing and then experiencing it as you go. I personally, when I go to build sets, I don't stand there. I don't sit at the computer looking at a browser window with the main marketing pictures up so I can see everything about it in advance. I try to kind of clear my mind and then just experience the build as it comes. And it really helps to add value to it and helps me to really feel the build techniques and appreciate them. Again, nothing too complex through here, but really well done. And I definitely can tell that a lot of iteration was done through this, even for some of the simpler looking things, the things that ended up looking simpler at the end. Just a very small little balcony here. This whole thing is actually attached from the outside. Again, won't spoil it, but it's not really integrated in. I could just pull all of this off. I like, again, the use of the plant stem pieces in black on the underside to represent the little supports. And then here the downspout from the top of the roof is just kind of, well, it's it just ends there. So it's just, I guess, watering the vine here to the side. And then finally, the roof, they have a nice little reference here. One of these chimneys is fake. And that is correct. Because back in the days of Tudor architecture, as it turns out, Tudor homes especially often would have fake chimneys to make it seem like they were more rich than they were. The houses were bigger than they were. It was a sign of higher class and, you know, higher achievement in life when you had more chimneys. Interestingly, the roof itself, though, is very plain. I could have used just something up here to break this up because it looks like exactly what it is, just plain dark gray plates. All right, time to start opening this thing up and removing some of the floors, and we'll start at the ground level again. At first glance, this looks like an English pub, and that's what it's supposed to look like, but it's been converted over to a cafe. So there are no alcoholic beverages that are served here. You can get a full English breakfast, but otherwise you're going to be getting coffee and bottled water, fancy bottled water, and tea, and that's it. You know, because it's a Lego. But look at this space here. It's really usable. You know, even the weird angled section here still has usable floor space. They put the booth, the sitting booth back there that will hold 2 minifigures. Got the little stoop over here as well with the transition from the angle back to more traditional building. A little suggestion of something that's on the next level over there on the table. And just to the counter back here, I think looks really good, including the nice build for an older style of cash register. There are 3 stools in there. I like the little bit of, sorry about that, a little bit of checkerboard pattern down there. Even though it's subtle, you don't see a whole lot of it. And the suggestion of the textured mats back behind here as well for traction for the barista or baristas, and the small little flap style door as well for access. This is nice. 1 stud over there for a figure's foot, 1 stud over there, and then something also behind the counter. Could use maybe another stud or something, and also something or an option, I guess, to swap out instead of having the tiles for the stools, to be able to swap those to plates. It would have been nice to have those as just extra pieces as an option. They also have the kitchen back here with the little vent hood. It's hard to see the details. You can see that this whole section of wall is lowered once again, which I'm glad that they continue to do that. I used to complain as they were raising and raising and raising walls. It was harder and harder to see in there, but this is about the best that they can reasonably do, you know, without really losing a lot of detail. It's packing the detail in there. There actually is 1 stud on the floor. Not sure if you're gonna be able to see it. There it is on the inside. Can we focus? Maybe not. Maybe not quite. It's tough. It's tough to get in there, but I think the detail is done nicely, and it's accessible enough for just what's effectively a closet space. Now, the door around the back opens into here. There's another door underneath the stairs as well, but you can't see in that. Fortunately, they did give you a secret way to access the space under there. This is for a fingernail to go right under. Then you can lift all this up, and it's the restroom. It's the loo. That's nice. You know, again, good use of space. A little bit difficult to reasonably see for an actual human being trying to get in from above. But yeah, it's nicely done, right? And then the other business on this level is the haberdashery, where you can go to buy hats and accessories and umbrellas. Lots of suggestion of thread and raw materials for making custom builds of headgear material for your minifigures. A nice selection of different ones out there that you can also swap in with your minifigures. Got a full-size mannequin over here. I guess that should count as a minifigure. I should have counted that at the beginning, but I don't know. If it doesn't have a face, I usually don't. It doesn't have a full face and isn't intended to be alive. I usually don't count them as minifigs, but this is a pretty good use of space. Not a lot of detail on this side, but I do like the pattern on the floor there. Once again, limited options for actually attaching figures to the ground, but nice sign outside. Pretty good visibility from the outside as well. Even though it doesn't have windows on the side to let in more light, it's good enough. And this was a fun little space to put together because of all the colors, you know, and all the little details. Now bringing in the next level, set that where it belongs all the way around. And this is a clockmaker's workshop, clockmakers, sellers, and repairers. So that is the workbench there with the working magnifying glass. You know, it actually magnifies a little bit. Classic piece that goes out for quite a while. This goes together nicely, has an appropriate level of detail without being too packed. This has so much stuff in it. You build so many clocks, and yet it doesn't feel overwhelming to me. Probably could have even used like an island little display table right here in the middle and still would have had enough room for people to walk around. So I appreciate the restraint, but again, there is plenty of detail in here because of all the different builds of clocks themselves. And you also have the very nice fireplace. It's practically just one stud wide where the fire itself is down in there. It's difficult to see. You can kind of see down in there, but it's effective, you know, a large wide mantle around it. And then here you can see more of the clock builds, some small ones, some medium-sized ones, and another small one, and a really big one. Not a whole lot going on with these, but I think they're just kind of appropriate to the size of minifigures. I think they're scaled really, really well, actually. They could have gone with more detail and a lot more complexity. I'm glad that they didn't. Again, restraint has been used here, and I think good balance has been achieved and reached with this. So this is the door out to the small balcony. It has just enough room, or excuse me, to the outside stairs. So for people who want to come directly to this level, and then over here to the next level of stairs. These stairs are built fantastically. Love them. I love everything about them except for the fact that they do not have studs on them. However, a viewer pointed out that they do have a little one plate slot under each that allows you to stick the toes of a figure in there. So they're not going to fall out too easily. It's not the best if you have only just one foot stuck under there. If you put 2 feet, it's going to work a lot better than that. But yeah, you know, it's different. It's a different approach, and I appreciate at least how it looks. You don't need to always be able to pose figures absolutely everywhere. And I think it's reasonable to not have studs in a spot. And then under here is a little, just a storage cabinet, and there's a Hoover inside of there, a vacuum cleaner. Again, restraint was used in the design. This definitely gets the idea across of a classic, I don't know what, 1940s, maybe late 30s to between late 30s and mid 40s design of floor vacuum, I think is what they're trying to go for here. It just looks right without being too oversized for figures. There's actually a little access panel underneath here. Let me pull this floor up again. I had trouble understanding this. A viewer while I was building this on Twitch said that this is here to help you to get the vacuum cleaner out if it gets stuck, but it's just an odd inclusion to me personally. It doesn't feel necessary. I didn't need to use this to get this out, even though I had actually attached mine to the studs. The final level, as usual, is a domicile, a human habitat. So open floor plan, which totally makes sense for such a small area. You know, as things get smaller and smaller as you go higher, the stairs come up here. This is a pet owner, so you'll see some pet related items around here. Just a small, not even a half bath over there, but at least they've got a sink. This is the door to the balcony that you can see from the outside. Nice little miniature couch or love seats, some furniture again for the animals to play around on, to climb up on. A little ball of yarn back there as well. And these are terrariums. So this person also has some insects that they have collected and that they're keeping. A couple of beetles there, and a very, very nice bookcase on this side, which almost has more books than the bookstore Modular did. I actually, so first of all, there's a sunflower lanyard here, which is a reference to invisible disability. It's very nice that they included that in there, but I personally don't like this print, this exclusive print. It just looks like a print from like the late 1990s, I want to say. Yeah, very late 1990s or early 2000s. Updated, kind of upscaled. You know, the graphic design work here is very, very flat and just doesn't feel up to modern standards, which is odd. With the floor removed, I can show you more of what the whole thing looks like because I can just manipulate it around to give you hopefully a little bit better idea of its overall shape and size. So there's not a whole lot that you can do with this space, but again, I do appreciate the restraint of not filling every space up with all the details, but at the same time, definitely putting in enough to make them feel lived in, to make them feel classy, to make them feel interesting and engaging, at least to me. And lastly, I just want to point out that the ladder against the wall over here lines up with access to the roof, and the false chimney over here lines up with absolutely nothing, because again, that's a correct reference for the style of architecture. Before I move on to the minifigures, there's a human-powered cart here with, I think that's a new color for this style of frame in just a bright green. It looks nice, and this definitely can hold some stuff. And then you get 2 little kittens, so it's just the miniature version of a city or minifig compatible style of cat. Of course, this is Lego, so you should be able to use your imagination and swap the roles of different figures for different things. You can even swap pieces between them if you want, but just following the prescriptive pattern here. This would be the barista or innkeeper, the chef for the cafe. This is just a customer over here. It could be a customer for potentially even all 3 of the businesses, the main businesses in this place. All of these have alternate faces, which is great. Here's the front man of the haberdashery, and I figured you want to get a better look at his mannequin. Once again, just a customer over here. And looking around the back, each of these gets some torso printing. Only one has an alternate face. Then here on the left is the clockmaker, and on the right is a chimney sweep. Notice the printed legs for that one, and the suspiciously brightly colored hood. I'm assuming that he wears his hoodie hood up while he's doing his work, which is why he's all black, but then you're just looking at kind of the inside, the inner lining. Maybe that's the actual color of the clothing, and the rest of it has just been coated with ash. That's what I'm going with, at least. We do get an alternate face here, which is really good for, just imagine that, looking through the magnifying glass while working on some fine machinery. And there's what the other face looked like, not obscured by the mustache. Tons of leftover parts because they use so many small pieces for details. Feel free to pause this if you need to. I got the spare prints on the left, and of course, no sticker sheet. I don't own every modular building, but I'll show you combinations against some recent ones. Obviously, Tudor Corner uses a style of architecture that has not been explored yet in the modular series. Thus, I think it's perfectly reasonable that some of these aren't going to be a great match. But to be honest, I'm not seeing anything that really offends my eyes. This might be a hot take, but in many, many areas of the world, architecture is not completely homogeneous anymore. So some of this stuff might not even be as unrealistic as some would like to say it is. I figured I'd sneak an all-time classic into the mix as well. Please don't tell the Lego police of the world that I did this, Britain and France side by side like that. I know it's not legal, I know. Bringing things around to value here, again, this was $230 US. It's 230 euros, 200 pounds UK, or $300 Canadian for 3,266 pieces. And I personally feel like, at least by today's standards for Lego, the value here is actually good. It's not even okay. I actually consider this to be good for the amount of stuff that's here. They easily could have charged more for this, and I could throw some prices out there of what I would have expected a set like this with this many pieces to cost today, but I won't, because I'm just going to appreciate the value that is here, which is very good. And the set, thankfully, itself is excellent. I don't like to call out favorites and things. I feel like today way too much of society and discourse is super reductive. We bring everything down to listicles. What are your top 5? What are your top 10? Worst to best, all that kind of stuff. But I will say that this is at least easily in my upper 3 modular buildings of all time. Easily. I don't think I put it at number 1, but upper 3, just on subjective matters. That's going to vary from person to person. Objectively, I think it's perfectly state of the art. I think it's right up there where it needs to be. It's just in general, I think it's a good product. I think that they've put a good thing on the market here. Good design work, good balance, good eye. Actually fits in way better than I expected with other modulars for something that is introducing a new style, a new architectural style to the line. I'm really impressed by that. I thought that some of them were going to look way more distracting. Obviously, something like Downtown Diner is going to look very different, you know, but yeah, so much about this. Gosh, I can't imagine the amount of work that went into this, the amount of iteration that went into this, how many things were changed, how many things were moved by one stud, and in some cases, like half a stud and stuff. It's a lot. It's a lot, and it's worth it. It's all worth it in the end. I'm just 100% happy with this. You know, I had little nitpicks, but that's it. Of course, there are going to be little nitpicks. Nobody's gonna like everything about anything. At least I would hope not. But I can't ask for this reasonably to be any better than it is. So just a complete win and a complete recommend from me if you like it. But I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm just here to give you my thoughts and my look at the thing. And hopefully this is, as a video, has brought you some value. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your support in watching the videos in general. I hope you get something good out of them. I especially appreciate my Patreon members who've really, really helped me financially to get through the past 5 years of tumult on YouTube. And I hope that I am able to continue to bring good value back to you in some way with the work that I do across many channels and both offline YouTube videos and live Twitch streams. Thank you again, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.